Okay, so it's me and William this morning. Yeah, it is morning still. My wife is sick. She's got the same crap that I had. Or Teresa, as everybody knows. But anyway, we've got some snow falling out there. Not really much, but it rained about an inch, or a little more than an inch today before between yesterday and today before the snow started to fall. It is not frozen. The ground is far from frozen. And I figured it would be a good time to take a look at runoff. Runoff, water runoff from the excessive rainfall. Because it has been raining just about every other day forever. Since we ended harvest. So here's a field here. This is traditionally wet right there, but you can see the slopes and how it slopes in, and the water's running. So what I'm gonna do is, because that was corn, I'm gonna actually turn around, and this will be my first runoff calculations with, or evaluation with no-till with a cover crop. As you can see, we are extraordinarily wet. There is wheat out here after the corn. All of it. There's actually a little over 100 acres here. I have to wait for this car to get past, this van, and then I'm going to turn around. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to put my four-ways on. I'm going to jump out of the truck. I'm going to put it in four-wheel drive, because I do have to actually get out off the road in order to do this properly. But I want to show what no-till would do versus, say, conventional tillage. And I'm pretty sure I got a place. I'm going right down here. I'm pretty sure I can very easily show a conventional tilled spot from a neighboring farm. But I just want to, there's the cop right there, and I'm going to go ahead and hop out. So I think he's probably going to turn around and come back and look. As you can see, I left the grass waterway here, and nice clean water flowing off of these fields. Minimal disturbance. This was run over with the vertical tillage machine, and then run over with the vertical tillage machine. You can see the wheat is there and all the residue, and you can see that there's probably 6-8 inches of water there, and the slope is probably a 3% grade or so. It is making foam in spots there, but there is no soil running off. No till for the win. Cover crops for the win. Yeah, I'm actually quite pleased. I'm quite pleased. There is zero dirt there. See, with the root mass, the root balls that are in the ground from not destroying the soil profile with heavy tillage, that has aided in infiltration, water infiltration. So I'm going to go down here to the next property over. This was hay for a very long time. Actually, it was hay since 1994, I believe. This was owned by a local farmer. He passed away. His kids farmed it for a year or two. I think they had beans in it the year that their father died. They put wheat and timothy in after that. And it was hay for all those years. So there was a rather large root mass of organic matter and other, stuff like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up here. We've got water running off. It is not running off like super fast, but it is running and picking up speed. I'm gonna take a walk down there. I want to see if it gets dirty. These fields traditionally will wash with tillage, and I'm not seeing any washing. I'll show you the spots here in a second. I just don't want to get I want to get turned around because I want to do as much of this as I can without boring people to death. And it's always good to scout your fields in the wintertime as well. It just is. It's good to do that. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna walk to the right here in front of my truck and hop out here. I'm not gonna show this just yet. Okay. So this is the water that's coming off of this field. This is wheat. It was hay, then it was soybeans, and then it was put into wheat this fall after I took the soybeans off. We ran one pass vertical tillage over it. That's it. Just one pass. You can see the wheat, it's there, and you can see last year's residue from last year's hay crop, because I allowed this grass to grow and get up a couple feet, 2.5 feet, before I planted the soybeans through it. Now the vertical tillage machine did not tear out the stubble. You can see there's still rows and lines of stubble, which will hold all of the residue and everything in place from the water rushing down here. And as it goes, it gets faster and faster, and obviously it's picking up speed here. Was there erosion there? I would venture to say, yeah, there was some erosion there, because it has got a little channel there, but not to be unexpected. But you must understand that this was no-till for all those years, or not no-till, it was hay for all those years. And you can see how the water had accelerated and shot up through there, and it's washed. Now, I'm walking out here, and the nice thing is that water is collecting from a large area, a very large area along the ditches, and collecting and running out here. You can see it's running and running and running, but it has busted through there, and then it goes down along there. But these have washed for years. There was always a dip there, and I don't see any mud. So I'm thinking that the erosion that has happened I don't think it's going to get any worse. So I kind of want to walk down here a little bit. Oh, it's getting wet. Water infiltration is important. But you can see how it's holding. The wheat is holding. Not all of it. Not all of it. But it's quite a grade here, and it is eroding. But nowhere near as bad as if it was plowed. So it's not perfect yet. And I don't think it'll ever be perfect, unless there was a grass strip left there. I did not leave the grass strip there. I did leave the grass strip up there. This one here I felt was the minor one. But that was always a washout as long as I farmed the ground. And, I don't think it's that bad. I think it could be a whole lot worse. And the one thing I did notice, and you should notice, is there's no mud in that water. None. And I mean, it was downpour city here. It was bad. Bad. So anyways, William is still okay? Let's go find some plowed ground. I know where there is some. Okay, so here's an example of worked ground. Now, I'm just going to put my four-ways on here, and I'm going to get out. Some people may know where this is, some people may not. This farmer worked the ground, planted his soybeans, never harvested them. We were in a major drought. The ground dried out severely, and that's what you end up with. Now, looking at this field, this has a less than 1% slope to it. It's fairly flat. And what do we see? We see mud. Why are we seeing mud in a literally flat farm? Chisel plowed, worked, planted. Now I'm going to go down the road a little ways, and there's a pretty significant washout there. And I'll hop out there and I'll show you. Now, you wouldn't think that anything would wash off of that ground, would you? Because he never harvested it. There's biomass there. There's weeds, grasses, and all that sort of stuff. And it's both sides of the road. This is owned by the township, Kingwood Township. There's a major washout that's always washing all the time for seemingly no reason other than farming practices, I guess. And here I am. I'm going to get out. You can't hardly tell. You can't hardly tell. This has more of a slope. Again, that's probably a 2 to 3% grade. But here it is. If you look, the water's barely running out of there. I'm going to jump that. I'm going to jump this. And this is it. It's running. Why is it running? The water's running slower here than it was on what I've done with no-till and cover crop. There it is. That's money. That's topsoil. That's your wealth. That is what makes your field produce. And it's running down the stream. That's it. Running down the road. Right there. Out into the road, filling in the cracks. Obviously the rain has slowed down, but yet there it is. Running dirt, running mud. So I'll go to another farm that I do, and another farm that is, I know for a fact, worked ground, traditionally worked ground. I just can't let this field go. I gotta look again. So this is the other side of the road. Can't hardly see much. I can see that there is from this field here, but the slope is the other way. But this side of the road, because it's running a little bit faster, more substantial, that's just topsoil. It's washing away. This is running about the speed as what it was running off of the first field that I showed. Mud. That's topsoil. That's all leaving the field. That's your organic matter. That's everything that you worked so hard, to put down. That's your NP and K washing away in the soil. Now, let's face it, I'm not new to no-till. I've no-tilled for years and years and years. Then I got away from it when I got away from growing corn and soybeans. Came back into corn 3 years ago, and I was chisel plowing and working and, doing it the traditional way. And then decided, I'm going back into no-till because of the runoff. I don't want to lose my topsoil. And so I decided that I would go down this regenerative agriculture path. And I've learned a lot over the years, a lot over the last couple of years in doing the research that I've done on regen ag or carbon farming or whatever you want to call it these days. I will tell you that it's kind of sad to see that soil run off of that ground. That soil has traditionally been quite productive soil. And the guy that's farming it now, whether he watches this video or not, he's not really, he wasn't raised in farming, and that in no way should that make it a slur against him. And it's not a slur against him, it's just, this is the way I was taught to do it. There's no other way better. And this is what a sod farm does, right? You see all that water laying in there? That's what smear, like sidewall smear on disc openers. Well, they shear that sod off of there and they create a seal, and they seal off the ground. There is no water infiltration out there. It is a sheet of water. A sheet of water. So, yeah. All right, so I'm going to go on down here to, there's mud running in the roads. Mud, mud, mud. Same farmer. Same thing. Same thing. That's Timmy Corn Picker's field. I'm not going to go. There's nothing to run off of that. Nothing running off of that. But now I'm over here to my grandparents' place where we vertical tilled the succotash and the corn stalks in. We just once over and then put wheat on. And it's all growing, living root in the ground wheat. And I think I'm going to be able to show a disturbance where the hunting club had driven across the field. They drove across the field, and it has created a chute for the water to run and a road. So I think I've got this photograph of this farm when I had chisel plowed it and worked the ground with the disc harrow and roller harrowed it. I don't know if there's going to be any runoff. Let me see. Okay, so there's where they drove out. but yet the water is clear. There's a little bit of dirt there, but let me back up in there. I think I can do this. I'm gonna do this. I want to show what's coming off of here. I don't want to be, like self-righteous or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to be, I don't want to be an asshole. So, all right. So the hunting club came in and they drove. You can see where they drove out there. They've driven up and back here. I do have some water running off there, or some soil running off there. Plenty of residue here. You can see where they drove their trucks up there. They disturbed the soil. They got into it. You can see there. But again, there's a little bit of runoff here, but I have wheat and a little bit of grass growing there. But the mud is nowhere near what it was coming off of that perfectly flat field that was never even touched this fall. This is from the hunting clubs. They want to drive out there and they want to create ruts and they want to cause problems. So, but again, a little bit of runoff, soil loss, but nothing to really write home about. More or less, it's coming right down from there, and that's what you're seeing. Damn, I wanted to see crystal clear. But now we're going to go up the road a little bit to the pasture. Right up here, there's the pasture. I have bales there because what we had was all the water was running off of the big field behind the pasture here. Okay, let me get that four-wheel drive engaged. So now I've got a lot of water here. And I'm going to go right up here, like so. I'll pull off here. And we're going to see what it looks like. Because of the volume of water that is coming off of here. Let me get out. The volume of water that's coming off of here is much greater than most. What you're seeing. Fairly clean. It's coming down from there. We put those bales there to slow it down and stop it. Yeah, not bad. Gonna see a little bit because of the volume of rain. We did not work this ground, obviously. You can see in the water, there's still grass roots down in there. So that's holding. It's doing its thing. This was not worked up. It was just vertical tilled after I took the soybeans off of here, and we spun wheat onto it. We spun wheat and then VT'd it in. Teresa did. So that was the gist of the disturbance of the soil. You can still see that the root masses from the soybean plants are still intact, still in the ground. They're holding the soil. Those are channels for water to infiltrate later on as those things decompose, and the wheat that's here will continue to hold the soil in place, feeding the microbiology. And my son is asleep in there. I'm going to walk up here to see what's going on the other side of these bales. That is a 23-acre field right there, and it's sloped. You can see it. It slopes this way. There's a small terrace there that that was a fence line. These are ruts from the corn, or the combine. When I combined the corn the year before last, it was a little bit wet. Of course, we did not do anything with those with the VT. A little bit cloudy, but nothing terrible. You can see that the wheat is holding and doing its thing. I'm not getting soaking wet feet. I'm just kind of walking carefully here. I put this corn fodder in here to hold back the rush of water that would have eroded it in the event that we had a major deluge. And we have had a major deluge. You can see all the bits of corn fodder stuck in there, floating along, doing its thing. But again, I'm very pleased with the way it looks. I'm pleased that the wheat is doing its thing. It's holding it together. When you get to the water flow area, the wheat is still holding. And the key thing is that that water is clear enough that I can see to the bottom, which is very good. Very happy with the results of no-till and putting in this cover crop. Obviously it's wheat. It's wheat as cover crop, but it's a cover crop. Now, I'm not sure what the price of wheat's gonna do. If the price of wheat isn't where I want it to be, I will be terminating it and putting in corn. And that's just a fact. My dad and my wife will be flipping out, but ultimately, I run the show here. So yeah, very pleased. Now let's go find another plowed acre. Okay, when my dad gets back, I'm gonna try and grab him and we're gonna go. There's one more farm. I went to a farm that I know they plowed their ground and I know that they do conventional tillage. The problem is they didn't have the rain that we had down here. I drove 20 miles to the north, and it would have been a really good example because the slope is a little bit steeper and there's a lot of no-till farming that goes on up there. And right next to the one farm is the guy that does the actual conventional plowing, moldboard plow, cultivator, and then roller harrow, and then he plants his crop. They didn't get the rain. They didn't get the rain. It was kind of crazy. But anyway, there is a farm right down the road here that I can go to, and I'm gonna try and grab that and we'll go take a look at it. But that's not what we're doing right now. Right now,